So Brittany, thanks for doing this first off. And for folks not familiar with you, do you want to share a little bit about your journey in real estate?
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great. So yes, Brittany Kostov here, sales director with Zoocasa. I was fully licensed full-time agent in 2011. So to be completely honest, it is really all that I know is real estate and lead conversion, helping buyers and sellers buy and sell, tenants finding a rental home. And in the last, I would say since 2018 actually full-time, I have been honored to hold the sales director role at Zoocasa, which is essentially helping to recruit, but predominantly coaching and training our agents to convert leads. So there's not a single thing that I preach that I have not practiced. And there's not a single thing that I have trained with our agents that I haven't personally gone through myself or seen other great successes from agents within our program complete, essentially. So yes, I started, if I'm allowed to say, would you like me to reference where I originally began? I think we have similar backgrounds there, Brian. So I am originally, when I first moved to the city, I moved from Windsor, Ontario, just across the border of Detroit there. Went from graduating university straight to Toronto into the big city, not knowing too much about what I wanted to do other than I loved real estate just as a pastime hobby on the side. So I was a server at the Keg to transition my move and to support myself from Windsor to Toronto. And very quickly found all my regulars suggesting, have you thought about real estate? So that's really, to be honest, the gateway that led me into real estate. So server at the Keg for many, many years and transitioned to sales in real estate. I received my license, started off the first few years at Keller Williams. And then our previous CEO at Zoocasa, Lauren Ha, essentially purchased the domain name of Zoocasa from Rogers Telecommunications. And here essentially we are. We have been acquired by EXP just a short number of years ago, which has been a fantastic transition. So yes, started at KW, became our own boutique brokerage that was Zoocasa, and then was extremely grateful to be acquired by EXP because we know lead conversion, and that's really where my specialty lies.
And thank you for that. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Zoocasa is the largest Zillow Flex team. EXP, I believe we hold the title of the largest Zillow Flex organization with our team leaders, but you guys are the singularly biggest team. In fact, you have the I don't know if it's right to say the contract for all of Canada, and even some of your operations are now extending down into the States with some of the other things that you guys are doing. And it's not just the Zillow Flex side of things. You guys have tremendous internet lead generation. And I always think of you, right or wrong, as kind of like the Cardis of internet leads. In that you take them, you scrub them, you assign them out to agents, you hold them accountable to metrics, very much like a relocation organization would. So I'm curious, so you've been there since 2018, and in your role, you're really kind of onboarding, training up the agents and holding them accountable. And so I want to kind of talk about that because just like your team, I'm sure you have struggles. I'm sure you feel imperfect and things like that. But team leaders really feel imperfect when it comes to that, right? And part of the problem is that oftentimes the team is such that it's not large enough to have a distinct standalone Zillow Flex only group, and then all the other agents. A lot of times they just kind of say, okay, come on in, and if you do good, great, and if not, then you'll get dialed back by Zillow. So when you think about how you guys onboard agents to Zoocasa, can I start kind of at the very beginning, which is like, how do you go recruit those agents to come in and be part of Zoocasa?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work exclusively with EXP agents, right? So we have our pool of agents that we are choosing from within EXP. So Evelyn Anders would be someone that I would even encourage to kind of connect with beyond this call, because she really takes on our recruiting efforts. She is sort of the one who's sort of hitting the roads, hitting the phones, and bringing our agents from EXP, just really getting in front of them where our agents gather already. So that looks like the provincial sales meetings and things like that. When there's area rallies, she's going to be there as well, sort of Zoocasa's cheerleader, right? Really making sure that just everyone is aware of exactly who we are and what we can do for our EXP agents. So in terms of recruiting, it is a team effort, absolutely, but Evelyn certainly holds the record for bringing our agents in and making sure that that awareness is spread throughout EXP. So again, she will be, she's at the EXPCon events. We've got our booth there set up as well, but it really does go beyond that. They've also, as we continue to spread out into the US and start to work with many of our EXP agents in the US across several different states, she's hitting the phones as well, right? We're identifying areas where we do have these leads coming through, and we need to quickly sort of almost backtrack and get our agents to be able to support these leads as well.
Okay. And once they do onboard, are there burning hoops that they have to jump through to get into the Zoocasa ecosystem?
So great point. So even before we get to onboarding, we do have a hoop to jump through, because I think we all can probably attest to the fact that free leads sound great, right? Yeah, sign me up, send me your leads, and that's great. So we are a high accountability program. We pride ourselves on that, absolutely. So what we do make sure is that we're aligned up front. We never want to overpromise and underdeliver, and we want to make sure that expectations are laid out from the beginning. So what that looks like is we have days 1, 2, and 3 introduction to Zoocasa, and I'm hosting those sessions. They're 1 hour each. And it's essentially where I invite everyone together, everyone that Evelyn has been able to connect with, where we know we have leads to support them, and say, please just come and learn more. And even if we don't necessarily have leads in your area, there are likely agents in your downline, in your circle, in your sphere, or even outside of EXP that you're in touch with in areas where we do need that support. So it might not be the right fit for you, but it could potentially be the right fit for someone in your sphere, in your circle. So once they attend, full attendance with cameras on is required in order to work through those 3 days. And on day 1, I am introducing and setting the standard that I'm going to give you a bit of homework. And really the homework is, we're essentially testing the agents that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. It really is that simple. It's nothing sort of too creative. Essentially what we've rolled out is, I am asking you to preview 10 properties at your leisure, at your own pace. So what that looks like is, I have agents, and we just completed our day 1 to 3, our intro to Zoocasa last week. And I said, okay, complete your 10 previews as quickly or as slowly as you like. I have agents submitting them at the end of day 1. They're like, I'm good to go. I'm pumped. Here are my previews. This is what I learned at each property. And they're really excited. So once they send me their list, and it's as simple as, you can send me an Excel sheet, you can send me an email just with that property addresses, you can send me the MLS number, whatever it is. It shouldn't be too much of a challenge, just whatever's easiest for you. You send that to me, and then I send you a link to book a one-on-one. So once you've attended those 3 days and you've submitted your homework, now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of where you are in your business and what your expectations, after I've rolled out exactly what Zoocasa does for you, and I've provided some golden coaching nuggets in those sessions as well, right? So they understand what they're signing up for. Because a lot of times programs can, promise the world, but they want to understand, okay, what are you really like to work with on a daily basis? Because it is a high accountability, a close contact program. We see each other daily in our daily huddles, and we can kind of maybe get into that as well. But essentially what we want to see is cameras on, full attendance to all 3 days, submit your 10 previews, and then we're going to sit down for an interview, you and I, one-on-one, and we're going to talk about what are you looking for, and can we deliver? Do our expectations line up?
Okay. I want to ask you about that 3 days. So question for you. First off, are you telling me which 10 properties to go preview, or are you just saying go preview?
No, that's up to 10 properties. It can be, if you live in a condo and apartment, you can preview properties that are for rent or for sale. You can preview, my often suggestion is, sometimes agents will say, well, I don't work with too many buyers. So I said, great, do you have listings? Yeah, absolutely, I have listings. Have you previewed and have you seen everything that compares to your property in the immediate area? Oh, well, no. It's like, that is a great way to make sure that you are showing up as an expert knowledge individual, right? So I know that that's something that's very important. Are you just interested in being the best, or are you obsessed with becoming the best? Because in order to do that, you have to know the inventory. You have to know how your product compares to everything else out there. So that's why when sometimes agents will say, well, I'm not working with too many buyers. What are some options for me? I'm not sure if it's in all markets, but essentially what I found is that there certainly used to be, and it is coming back more and more, of, they used to call it Caravan Fridays in my area. So yeah. Agent opens, where agents get together at one meet spot and you go around and you view each other's listings. And how helpful that is, that especially in today's market for your average listing agent. It can be so difficult to have these difficult conversations with the seller. Having it just be your own opinion tends to feel a little bit weighted. So when you can get feedback from fellow agents in your market that have viewed your property and are letting you know how it measured up to the competition, that's so valuable. So not only are you previewing and you're increasing your own market knowledge about your area of where you want to work, but you're also making connections with other agents in your area. And it's all about that sort of building that awareness that you are an expert. You take this very seriously. You're a professional, and that when you come through and you bring me an offer on my property, hey, you've already seen it. You've been really thorough. I have trust that you are not only going to work with me to negotiate a great offer, but you're going to be able to close as well, which is just as important in today's market, I think.
It's one of the reasons why in FastCap every day we ask them to do a CMA and we ask them to go preview a home. We want them, and it's, for me, it's not just about knowing the market. It is that you better know the market, right? You're professional. This is your profession. But the other thing is it answers the question, what do I say when they answer the phone? Well, now you have something to say. You've got a CMA to offer. You've got, market knowledge to talk about. You just saw a home that had their dream kitchen that they talked about last time you talked to them. All those things.
They really add up. So you're right to that point. Just if I could add on, one of the scripts that we do suggest to them is exactly what you said, Brian, is, hey, I wish I'd met you last week. And maybe this is just a first introductory or property viewing request, right? Lead that comes through. They're interested in 123 Main Street. I wish I'd met you last week because I was just showing this one property that matches exactly what you were looking for. Now, they did receive 6 offers on offer night, which was a bit of a surprise. But now that I know that that's of interest to you, I'm going to be able to that much more quickly identify the next property for you, right? And it just, all of a sudden you went from being the sort of order taker to the expert in the area, right? So yeah, absolutely, I agree, Brian.
I like that script very much. I'm curious, during that 3 days, how long I'm assuming we're going to do this virtually, right? And how long am I sitting in front of my computer? Like, what's the format? And then what are we learning during that 3 days?
Absolutely. So we time block 1 hour. And we kind of sort of get the admin sort of announcements out front, because usually everyone joins with dark screens, no one's on camera. And then I kind of say, hey, you know what, I love it, right? So I kind of say, hey, who here has hosted a webinar, or who here has invited a client to meet virtually and you've been greeted by black screens? It's not a great feeling. You know what? Let's act as if we were meeting around the table at EXP headquarters. Let's all show up and be dialed in, because don't get me wrong, I'm a licensed broker as well, sales director at Zoocasa. We have 240 agents in our program that are working with our leads. I have 3 kids, a husband, a dog, and all that life has to offer, as does everyone else that's time blocking. So I'd like to call it out at the beginning that I know that if I'm busy, you are all busy, and you have priorities and life and expectations and responsibilities outside of this 1 hour. But if we can really be present, it will just make it that much better of a use of your time, because we know that everyone is vying for your attention. Every single person out there, if you're going to a shopping center or a mall, if people are still doing that in real life, unless you're shopping online, but if you go out in person, everyone's asking you for your email and your phone number. They're texting you, they're calling you, they're sending you their promotions. There is so much noise. So if we can just time block and truly dial in and be here for each other, it will be that much more effective, because I want to very quickly identify the individuals who this program is right for and who it's not quite right for. So I reiterate that actually each session. And the way that I start each one is by saying, let's get cameras on, let's be all here, let's dial in. I promise I have gone through this session. I consistently and constantly tweak it and rework it so that I'm showing up with the highest value possible for you, the agent who has taken the time to clear your schedule to be here, to learn about how can this program help me in my business. So I find sometimes there's a lot of vagueness. It can be quite vague out there. Like, what is this all for? I really try to get to the point, while hopefully also giving that carrot for them to understand that you also do need to kind of delay this gratification a little bit, because oftentimes when agents join our program, unfortunately and fortunately, some of them will get a deal done within the first week. And that's almost, I believe, to the detriment of the agent, because that sort of just acclimates them to thinking that, oh, this is how easy it is.
I don't even have to do any work. They just show up and say, come list me. What?
come list me and I show up at the property. That's great. I hope you don't get your first deal done until you've put 3 months of work in, but it happens. So essentially the way that I like to lay it out, Brian, in day one is I'll say, this is the layout and here's what happens next, right? I use that terminology with my clients. I use it with my agents as well. Here's what happens next. In this next hour, I'm going to break it into two parts. The first half, I'm going to provide you with some coaching, some details and some golden nuggets that I know that even if it doesn't work out between Zoocasa and yourself, if it doesn't end up being the right fit, you will walk away with an actionable today that you can implement into your business where you will see improvements and positives from just that 30-minute portion. I'm going to drive that home for you today. The second half, I'm going to educate you and inform you about our program in more details. Now, I cannot do both. It's very important to highlight that I'm really shrinking this down, right? Because I think it's important to note that the average person's attention span too, right? It's just like, okay, I mean, I'm hitting some people, Brian, at noon and they haven't had their third coffee yet and they're starting to hit a lull and they've gotten through their calls and they thought maybe this would be more of a working lunch or something, but I'm asking them to be engaged. So understanding that, listen, you guys have got to show up, you've got to do the work and it'll be worth it because of X, Y, and Z, I think is really important. So day one, we talk about previews. I introduce the homework. I let them know that this is what is going to be expected in order for you to progress through the next steps of being even considered to have a conversation about getting our leads and being a part of our program, which includes, yes, leads, but coaching, accountability, and the tech as well. Day two, we're really talking about discovering motivation. Now, this is probably one of my favorite sessions because I like to give them a taste of what it's like to actually be in the program. And what that means is on Thursdays in our program, we call it reviewing tape. So every Thursday, we listen to calls that our agents have made. It usually winds up being those first phone calls with our lead that comes through the system and our agent is calling them. And we're listening to that with 240 people on the call every Thursday. And those calls are either agent like self-nominated because they've grown to love this and they love kind of sharing wins, or it will come as a nomination from one of their coaches where it's like, hey, we don't always want, and to get a little bit off track here, Brian, but we don't always want to play perfect calls because number one, there's no such thing as a perfect call.
Right.
But we like to play situations where sometimes agents get a little bit stuck because they think that everyone else is doing things better or perfectly or in a different way as to why are they seeing results. It's like, hey, here's their call. This is what they're saying. And usually the biggest determining factor is that they're calling them. Number one, they're not texting or emailing first. They're calling them and they're calling them quickly. So that's day two. We're focusing on discovering motivation. How do our agents do that are getting deals done? Well, here's a call. And this is what they're saying. This is their tonality. This is the flow of the conversation. And we're playing that for them. So that's usually how I like to start those day twos. I was like, who would like to listen to a call? Not just a simulated, AI role playing, which does have its place and which we actually use in our program as well, but a real agent making a real call to someone that had submitted a request, and usually hands are flying up. So they're really engaged and they're excited about that. And then it's interactive as well, right? I ask them, I want to see a takeaway or something that might stand out to you or an aha moment during this call, put it in the chat. Like, let's see what you guys are taking away from this. So that's really important as well. Would you like me to continue on to day three?
Please, yeah.
So then day three is where we kind of try to wrap it up. So essentially with our leads that are coming through the system, the majority of the leads, their initial request is coming through as a buyer. So they're not necessarily, because usually one of the questions we get from agents are what is the percentage of buyers versus seller leads? And typically they are coming through as a buyer. Now, a great number of them are also saying, yes, I need to buy, and I also need to sell in order to purchase, right? And some don't. Sometimes they're first-time home buyers, which, the average agent loves. And some are downsizers and some, all of the other boxes. But essentially, we like to highlight the fact that you will be working with buyers in this program. It's not a negotiable. This is definitely a profile that you will be working with. So what we like to do in day three is I'll focus for the first 30 minutes on exactly what I say in my buyer consultations, in my discovery calls, in my, hey, let's grab a coffee and talk about your home hunt or your house search. So I say exactly what I like to say in my consult, and I give them not only a bird's eye view, like a general sort of journey timeline, in order to walk their clients through, so they can literally go on the Zoocasa website, they can take our buyer's guide and they can use that moving forward. Even if it ends up not being the right fit, they can take our timeline and make it their own. And then we wrap up day 3 by letting them know, okay, who has questions, who's gotten started on their previews, who has, quick wins that they've experienced from going through previewing. And it never ceases to amaze me where some agents are kind of, they have this like, what's it called, that frog or that monkey on their shoulder that's kind of telling them like, no, previewing isn't worth it. Like, why would you preview? Like, that's a waste of time. It's like, you're going to flick him off. You're going to tell him to take a moment and you're going to just be all here. Because usually the agents that are interested in learning more about our program is because what they're doing now is getting them the results that they're seeing. And it's not where they want to be, right? So they want to see different results, which means they're going to have to do something a little bit different than they would normally be doing. So that's where I really do encourage and let them know that one of the defining factors of who you are, you need to be open-minded in order to come through this program. Because again, we are going to be asking new things of you that you might not have done consistently before. But we can promise that if you do commit yourself, that you will see these results. So again, we have a very specific focus on each day in terms of a coaching golden nugget that they can take away and implement into their business, which makes it never a waste of time, right? Even if it ends up not being the right fit and they're like, I'm a little bit more of a lone wolf. This doesn't sound like my, cup of tea. It's like, no worries. You've got these coaching nuggets that you can implement into your business moving forward and keep us in mind for other agents that might be a good fit that you come across in your downline.
It's funny. Out of curiosity, by the way, the previews, it sounds like there's some sort of form where you're asking specific questions that they have to answer about the previews to kind of verify that they've actually gone out and done the preview.
Ooh, and I address that up front, Brian. So I say on day 3, I say, listen, if you guys are thinking that this is for you and all she's really asking for is just a sheet with an address on it, and you're kind of maybe considering, couldn't I just email her a list of properties that I haven't previewed, but you know what, here, this is to fulfill the requirement of the homework. Just take that as what it is. I want to call that out right up front, because if that's sort of where you're headed, you're going to waste a lot of time onboarding with us just to be offboarded within the first month. So I just urge you, if that's what you're considering doing, it's not going to be the right fit. And, let's save everyone sort of the time and energy. So I address things pretty bluntly up front. And I do that in another way by saying, you know what, if you're kind of curious about the program, and again, we will be setting our one-on-one, but I essentially outline as well, like, this program is for you if you identify as this, and it's not for you if you identify as this. So if you're more of a lone wolf, if you're not sort of a team player, if you don't want to collaborate with others, if you're not into structured meetings, if you don't like being held accountable, if you're afraid of the phone and will not pick it up. So lots of agents are afraid of the phones, but if you're at least willing to pick it up, then we've got a spot for you. But if you're thinking there's a way around it, you won't make it past the first month. So to address specifically though, the previews, I am laying it out that way, Brian. I very much say, listen, send me the address or the MLS. We're going to talk about it a little bit in your one-on-one. But the agents that kind of go above and beyond are the ones that say, this is what I learned. This is what they wound up selling for. This is what my takeaways. And they usually will provide some notes and context on the properties as well, because we all know if you preview 10 properties, they start to blend together. So it's a good reminder of what it's like to be a client as well during showings.
I suspect there's team leaders hearing this who are maybe mentally rebelling at the idea of having a hurdle in front of the agent joining you. And I'm curious, they would say, well, if they're not right for the Zillow Flex, I still want them on my team or in my rev share org or blah, blah, blah. How when you think about a team leader, your experience in Zoocasa, how would you share the answer to that kind of question out loud from that team leader? What would you say?
That's a great point. And we used to do it that way, Brian. We used to have no barriers previously and just welcome anyone and everyone that would like to sign up. And we very quickly found that for those where we were trying to then chase them for the accountability afterwards, it just never lined up. And it wound up being a much more significant drain on our resources after the fact. And I mean, to the team leaders that are on this call, we all know how much time and energy it takes to onboard an individual. We pour our everything into those because we truly believe that, no, you know what, we have someone who is self-selected, that's identified that they're open-minded, they're going to actually do the work that they say they're going to do, has submitted the previews. Now we're sort of meeting in the middle versus chasing them along the way. So I just found that addressing it at the very beginning, that there will be expectations of you and we will hold you accountable. And I'm not just saying that, here's your first assignment. And if that's something that's not of interest to you, then it's okay to part ways. And if you're still curious, stay in touch. But we just found that it led to a less of a churn rate. Like the people that we were able to bring on stayed true to us and have been able to continue on and grow with us and graduate from the program. So, I mean, I'm sure that there are certainly people that we might be missing out on, but I don't believe that it's the right fit for everyone with where we're at.
I think there's probably a decision to be made as a team leader, which is, when do you want to spend the time, right? Do you want to, think about relationships for a second? Do you want to spend the time setting your standards and being clear about those while you're dating or in couples therapy? I'd rather do it while we're dating, right? And yes,
let's not get invested. Yeah.
Right. But to your point, what I heard you say is, in my own way of thinking of it, I can either spend time chasing around a lot of people who I've onboarded that just I should have not, or I can spend time just putting more people into the top of the funnel, knowing that I'm going to sift out a lot, but I'd rather put the time in there so the people that I, get to work with on a day-to-day basis are good and there to in it to win it.
And they're going to show up. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard I'm going to go do 10 previews. I'm going to go attend the 3 days. Are there any other hoops that I need to jump through before we get to the one-to-one?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. So afterward, and I'm kind of curious for what we just said, top of the funnel versus who gets to this skinnier part of the funnel. Give me a sense of numbers. Like, how many people first off, how many people register? Because I can tell you from FastCap, there's a difference between register and showing up. How many people register versus show up for day one versus end day 3 with you? And then how many people go to the one-to-one?
Yeah, absolutely.
And wet thumb in the air is fine, by the way. We don't need exact numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, we get it. Like, if we were to have our months, depending on the month, it ranges anywhere from 40 to 100 in attendance or signed up, Brian. So signed up and registered. So to your point, we could see 106 one month. Like, oh, okay, 106 are registered. But we know, to your point, because we've been doing this for so long, how many are going to actually show up. So it comes in the reminders, right? It's reminding them the day before, reminding the day of that, hey, you did sign up for this event, maybe a month ago, right? And maybe some just signed up yesterday. So it's making sure that they know how to join, making it easy for them to join, and just reminding them of that conversation that they had previously and why they should be interested in showing up today. We would probably get just over half showing up, Brian. And then we used to have it where there was a deadline for the previews. So we used to have it where, and we've played with different numbers. We used to say 30 previews in 2 weeks. We used to have this large number spread out over 2 weeks. Then we played around with, okay, what if we cut that in half? Because we wound up finding that, there is a sense of urgency on our end to find the right people, because we have leads here. We need to help them, connect them with the right agent. So we've tailored this over the years. And again, like I said, the sweet spot that we found this year was 10 previews at your own pace. So when they submit them, we know that they're good to go. And again, that's another separating of the herd. When they email when they send those previews to me in the first 10 days, it's like, oh, they're motivated. Okay, they're interested. They're dialed in. They were here. I saw their face in the sessions. That's a top interest for us. So to answer your question again, we could get up to, I think that the highest that we've had registered is maybe up to 140 potentially within any given month. And then each month might differ, Brian. So some months we have just one intro to Zoocasa. Other months we double up. So we need it at the beginning and the end, because we found that, a lot of times agents are taking holidays in July and August. So it might not make sense to have it double the session. It might just be one where we kind of want to load it up. So we would have that. And then in terms of attendance, we're looking at half to just above half. And then for ones that are making their way through to the one-on-ones, I would say half that again, half the attendance.
So I think now we're at an eighth of the total. So we went from 100 sign up, 50 show up, and now 25 make it to the end, 12 and a half, I guess, make it to the one-to-one sessions with you. Okay. All right.
And it's interesting though, because some are coming through and they'll say, you know what, I'm actually on holiday for the rest of the month. Can you book me in for the next session? Or I wasn't able to make it. I didn't think you actually wanted Cameron and to do these. People said, yep, no worries. We'll give you another shot, right? If you couldn't attend this month, but you're intrigued and you're interested, join us again next month and maybe try to attend then. So, I mean, we understand that they might not know about our program just yet, and it might take a couple of times for them to understand and to clear their schedule. But we understand that. So yes. Yep.
Okay. And so we have the one-to-one, and what happens during the one-to-one?
So in the one-to-one, we're getting into the details because we find that when we start talking about where they are, if there's over 50 people on a call, we're not getting into you, Brian. How many deals are you at for this year? And where is your GCI? Have you capped? What's your most successful year? But we're not getting into any of that. It is quite one-sided in that I'm providing coaching and I'm telling you about our program. Now the one-on-one, I need to learn more about you. I need to know where you're at in your business. So my first question is always, why Zoocasa? Maybe it's why did you even sign up in the first place? But now that you've attended the 3 days, you've submitted the previews, what is it in the last 3 days that you learned that you feel that we could help you? Where are you at in your business and why us?
Okay.
And we receive that response. The next question is usually, where are you at in your business? How long have you been licensed? And where do you find your challenges are? So we get a lot of really good intel in terms of where agents are struggling. You know what? I know there's all these great systems out there, but I just really need to be held accountable. I said, I told my wife I was going to make 20 phone calls last week, and then the kids were homesick, so she wasn't there, and life happens. And we understand that. So to understand their pain points, and then to speak honestly from our side, can we help you? Because sometimes, I'll be honest, we'll hear, yeah, this is probably, you guys provide leads. There's maybe been 6 other systems that we've heard of out there that we've tried them all. We're not getting any deals done, but let's try yours now. So it's like, okay, interesting. So why haven't you been able to convert an online lead in the past 6 months to 1 year? And usually I've heard of the sources. Usually I've, experienced them myself. So we get into a little bit of a coaching moment there as well. And if it sounds like it might not be the right fit for us, we suggest other EXP programs. Listen, you know what? This might actually be a little bit more advanced. We think that you need to at least get a deal done under your belt. Have you been, you know what I mean? And then we're referencing FastCap. Like that is going to get you into the very specific daily habits of seeing momentum and success. So have you been through that? And when they haven't, it's typically like, okay, I'm going to go through that program and then I come back to you. And it's like, it's been a great connection that way.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad we could. And we really want people who come out of FastCap to go into your accelerator program as well. I just can't wait for you guys to have more lead flow in the States, because I think that's a huge opportunity for us. So we go through and really this kind of sounds like a sniff test, so to speak. Right? Are they really? Yes, they jump through the hoops, but does that mean we actually want them? And so I'm curious, out of the 12 who show up to the one-to-one, how many do you end up taking? Is there like
that's a strong acceptance rate that ends up being the right fit? So okay. 1 or 2 might not make it. And on the flip side, Brian, where it might also not be the right fit is if this agent comes through and he's saying, you know what, I'm consistently capping. I just like to have yet another lead source into my database, into my CRM. Consistently capping. I know where my next 12 deals are coming from. I'm a top producer. This actually might not be the right program for you. We are actually working with agents that are trying to get into momentum and into production. We've identified this sort of avatar where agents have had a couple of deals under their belt, but they're not seeing consistency. Usually we can pinpoint that on, okay, you need some accountability. You need to be doing the things that you should be doing, but having someone hold you accountable is usually that piece that changes it. And of course, giving you the opportunities to get into production is where we see the biggest flip. So okay. The odd agent might get through where they're saying, I'm considering starting a team later this year. I'm going to bring on other agents. Like it actually might not be the right fit for us in that sense. Okay. So that sometimes happens as well.
And when I'm going through here, I'm curious. I think you guys sent me your school. Is it
school? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I have not yet had a chance. Tomorrow is going to be my big day to start devouring some of the stuff that the agents have been sharing with me that you guys were kind enough. By the way, is the 3 days, is that in school? I know it sounds like you do these live, but do you have recordings
They
of
are
those
live
days?
only. No,
Okay.
so days 1 through 3 are live only. They are not recorded. Live attendance is required. And then
Okay.
school is where we are housing all of our training and our onboarding. So we have quite a few other pieces in terms of support for our agents. So if you want to almost maybe even fast forward to, okay, it sounds like it's the right fit. What does sort of starting up the program look like? So then we jump into onboarding. So onboarding is going to look like we have 3 days set aside.
Can I, before you go there,
Okay.
Brittany, can I just ask you a quick detail question? Sorry, I'm just making notes. So the 3 days, that's not accelerator. Where is that accelerator?
Of onboarding?
The 3 days live, non-recorded stuff, what do you call that?
Introduction to Zoocasa. That's for anybody that's heard of Intro to Zoocasa. So that's 3 days. That's where I'm providing coaching. I'm giving them the homework. We're talking about the program. So those are for 3 days, and they're just learning about the program.
Okay. And how often do you do those?
Once or twice a month, depending on the month. So we'll have it usually day 1 to 3 at the beginning of the month. And then some agents are like, oh, I just heard about Zoocasa, but I missed the intro days. Is there another session? And we'll typically have it scheduled for 2 to 3 weeks later. So they're running every month.
As an aside, could I, in my instructional
Absolutely.
designer? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll send you a little note afterward.
Our next one is scheduled for August 25th, I believe. 25th, 26th, 27th.
25th through the 27th?
Correct.
Of August, you said. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. So that's just the sort of initial intro. That's not the training. So we're going to go through the one-to-one, and then do I go into the training?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So then it would be onboarding.
Say
Pardon
that.
me?
I didn't hear what you said about onboarding.
So yes, one-on-ones happen, and if it seems to be the good fit for both of us on both sides, then we say, okay, great, we're going to send you the addendum to your contract. We sign things, we let them know that what to expect next and when their start date is. So the start date signifies the onboarding. So onboarding day 1 is run by myself and Anthony Tomasoni, who is he's our outlier for Follow Up Boss. He's also our outlier, for 10,000 hours and experience of hearing rejections on the phones, right? So him and I sort of host this together so that they understand from the agent perspective and then from the sort of behind the curtain at Zoocasa. So we've told you about it. Now we're going to sort of bring you into our world. So what we really focus on in day 1 onboarding, we schedule it for an hour and a half, Brian, just because we know just attention spans for some, it's also a lot to throw at someone. We know that we're going to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Usually it's about 10% that the agents will retain. Yeah. But I really try to be consistent with the messaging of, we're throwing it all at you right now. We're throwing you in the deep end, but understand that this is a high accountability program. So I'm not going anywhere. You're going to see my face in our daily huddles, Monday through Thursday. We host those 4 days a week. We also have our open hours. So that's protected time where I have blocked off for agents to just jump in and ask, we have masterminds, we ask questions, topical things like that. But that's maybe getting ahead of ourselves for next steps and what a day in the life of an agent looks like. We'll back up to onboarding. So onboarding day 1 is with myself and Anthony, and that's really where we focus on, okay, you're in the agent accelerator now, and you just got your first lead. What do I do? What do I do? What do I say? What do I expect? We're doing account setup. It's quite, it's a packed hour and a half. And those sessions, cameras are on, they're in front of their computers. You are logging into Follow Up Boss. You are hitting call here. You are entering information. You are putting you're involved. You're not just listening in the background, because none of it would stick. So it's very important to have them very dialed in and present for that meeting. So that's day 1. Day 2, Emmy from our team, she goes through all of the tech in day 2. So even though we cover Follow Up Boss in day 1, we have an amazing list of inclusions for different platforms that we cover for our accelerator agents. So we have Shiloh.ai. I'm not sure if you've heard of that one before. That one's where we provide coaching, sort of that in-pocket coaching for our agents on all of their calls. She also goes through School, and our other platforms. So she spends a lot of time taking them through the tools and the resources that they have at their disposal to understand. And we also, of course, have Sisu Premier for our agents. That's where we're getting very clear on, they're going to set their goals today, and they're going to see how, working backwards, very similar to from those that come from FastCap, they're familiar with that already. It's nice that with this one, it is a automatic. So it is automatically populated from their activities in their Follow Up Boss account. It translates to Sisu, which is a really great feature as well. So Emmy spends a lot of time going through that with them on day 2. So day 1 is sort of intro to Zoocasa. It's more introduction to Follow Up Boss, your new CRM. Welcome. You're going to love it, and you must love it, and you must use it daily. So that's a big focus. Yes. And then day 2 is focus on the tech. And then day 3, we introduce them to our ISA department. So that is where they are going to meet our ISAs. The ISAs are going to meet our agents, and they're going to learn, hey, where do you live and where do you focus exactly? Who is your ideal client? You work with first-time home buyers. Do you speak any other languages? So that, and if a lead does come through, we can actually make a really intelligent pairing there, so you can actually have better odds of helping them. So it's a full week, and they also start with their huddles that week as well. But from the beginning as well, I do let them know that the way to really see success out of this program, to get the most out of it, we like to keep you close. Because if you're not in attendance to these live, if you don't attend daily huddles, if you don't attend to onboarding, number 1, you won't get leads. You won't get paired up with your coach. But number 2, it is it's really a new habit. It's a new muscle that we're creating. It's a new muscle that we're literally creating with them. So they're going to have to use it daily. You know that saying, Brian, like what's the best CRM? It's the one that you use every day, right? So we need you to show up. We need you to be camera on, because we know that the way that they show up here is the way that they're going to show up out there with the clients and the leads. So again, it's very it's an intensive onboarding process, but we know that by introducing homework early on, and by being very clear about the expectations, it typically curbs the, oh, okay, wait, this wasn't for me, after we've put in all this time getting them onboarded. So that success rate has been great.
And at a higher level, what I just heard you say is I'm going to go through 3 sessions, about an hour and a half each. Yep. And so meet the tech, understand the team, the ISAs. I'm assuming in here somewhere we're teaching ALM and things of that nature, follow-up strategies and expectations and standards, how you're metricizing them. All that. Okay. Yep. And is that it? It's so 3 days and I'm done, and now I'm open for business.
So now once you've attended day 3, that is when, as early as, like, your leads will start as early as day 3. Once you've met with the ISAs, we've now essentially activated you to start receiving our leads. Because again, that is one of the biggest defining factors of our program, is that yes, we're going to give you coaching and training, accountability and tools, but we're giving you real people to practice and to be in practice with. So we start that immediately. And for some agents, depending on, now this is, as of right now, it's mainly just for our Ontario agents within the GTA, but some agents might be accepted into the program that have not yet ever done a buyer deal. So we're actually able to work with them and start them on rental leads. So you will also see in our school platform that there's a whole section dedicated to, rental leads. So their criteria in order to earn buyer leads is if they close 6 rental leads within 3 months. Now we have agents closing and doing their own challenge within our program to close 10 leads a month, 10 lease leads each month. And we have agents meeting that benchmark. So we know that the leads and the opportunities are there, because oftentimes we'll have agents come in that have never done a deal, that have, they've never gone through the paperwork, and whether they're nervous or not, we know that they need to start to get into build their confidence, even potentially for some of them, right? So that's one way that we're able to introduce that, is by you close 6 company provided leases within 3 months, and we will then schedule an interview to see, hey, how did you use our systems to follow up with your leads? Did you call them all? Did you log your notes? Did you follow up accordingly? Did you do good paperwork and you were able to represent them? Now let's have that conversation about earning the leads for buyers and sellers, and then we can turn them on at that point.
And sorry if you said this, I didn't quite catch it. Is this if they've never worked a transaction? Okay.
Exactly.
If they've
Exactly.
done buyers and sellers, you'd put them directly into the
Yeah,
pool. Okay,
exactly.
great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the 4 huddles, Monday through Thursday. Are those mandatory attendance required? Is it like once a week? How
They
often?
are there 4 days a week. They are there Monday through Thursday for 15 minutes. That is our ask. And that is laid out in the intro to Zoocasa 3-day session. So that is on day 3. I say, this is a question to ask yourself. If you have a prior commitment for 15 during this 15-minute window, it actually might not be the right fit for us. Because
Is
if you
that,
have, yep,
I'm sorry, just clarifying question. Is that only during some sort of defined onboarding period, or is that in perpetuity?
that is while you are in the program
Okay. And
every Monday through Thursday.
so I'm supposed to show up Monday through Thursday. By the way, what time do you do your huddles?
So we have 2 scheduled. I host them all, and there's a point and a specific talking point each day. So they are not, hey, how's everybody doing? It's, I am running these huddles. You are starting your day. You are in the middle of calling your people at this point. So we have the 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's typically where Ontario essentially and East, everyone is joining that huddle. And then 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is where our West Coast agents are joining. So it could be 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. for them.
And those 2 calls are identical?
Identical.
Okay. So if you miss, okay, get yourself to the other one. And do you have like a 3 strikes and you're out policy? Like
It's
how
a
many?
conversation. So we track attendance. So that is automatically tracked. I mean, we know, and that's the other piece too, right? Is we know that life happens. We have some agents that will say very much up front, listen, that's the exact time that I drop my kids off. Like, it's not the most convenient time for me. So to your point, Brian, we say, no worries, there's this other option available. But for a lot of agents not on the West Coast, they're not exactly potentially able or willing to get on a 6 a.m. huddle for 15 minutes, which I completely understand. So
Right.
that's where it's saying, you know what, you can throw your camera off, and you know what, because we know that agents, they might join, they're going to attend, but cameras off because they're driving the kids to school. And it's great because a lot of times I've had agents call me and say, hey, you know, my kids enjoy this part of the day. We get to listen to the huddle. We get to listen to Anthony talk about objections, and we get to hear, you know, the agent calls on Thursdays. So it's become a part of the day to day. And it's important to understand that we drive home that the point of the Zoocasa Agent Accelerator program is to get you into momentum and to fly the nest. We want you to become this agent that you are doing it on your own. So yes, there is high accountability at the beginning, but there's a progression. You're meeting with us for our daily huddles, and you're meeting with your coach once every 2 weeks. As you progress through the program, the huddles remain, but your coaching will start to dial back. That accountability piece will start to dial back because we see that you're doing the right things that have gotten you into consistent production. And then you will graduate from the program. That's the goal. So they're working towards something, Brian. It's not, this is the rest of my life, this is the rest of my career. It's for 2 years, let's say, I am focused and dialed in on showing up every single day, making sure I'm taking the value that's being provided to me, passing it out to my clients, because I haven't seen consistent success before on my own. So I'm going to surround myself with other people that are sharing wins and sharing, I mean, you know, sometimes we call them cheat sheets or shortcuts, but true defining habits that will make a difference for them in their business. And they need to be present for those if they're going to make it long-term in this industry.
So I was going to ask you, give me the kind of typical content, and you said it changes. You know, that you're. I think you said I'm coming in to make a point. It's
Yes.
my paraphrasing of what you said. So what does that 15 minutes sound like? Like, give me the last 3 huddles that you did. What were the topics?
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday each have their own topic. So Monday, we handle objections. Every
Okay.
Monday, Anthony's jumping in with us as well. And we're saying, hey guys, here's some headlines that you might need to know, what's going on in the world, what's going on in real estate, what's going on, generally speaking, maybe a minute to 2 minutes from myself. Here's Anthony, go. What are your objections? And a lot of times they'll take to the chat, but most of the time they're saying, Anthony, I just met with the lead on Friday. You know, I thought we had great rapport, and now they're ghosting me. They're not responding. What can I do? What can I say? So it is very much, what did you just hear over the weekend, or since we met last Monday? What are the objections that you're hearing? Now, keep in mind, they have a one-on-one coach. They have an accountability coach. They have Shiloh, who's providing feedback on their calls and how to increase their odds of getting booked and attended appointments. But this is very specific. Everyone knows that on Mondays, when you have that objection that you heard, you just need to talk it out with someone else that's probably heard it and seen success in one way or another. Let's talk it out. And oftentimes other agents are on there and we've got a bit of a queue lined up because agents have similar questions, or they'll put their hand down and be like, that's the one that's the objection that I had this week. So Mondays are objection handlers. That's what we're focusing on for 15 minutes. And I will be honest, we ask them to stay on for 15 minutes. A lot of time Mondays go a little bit longer because agents got a lot of objections. So get into it a bit.
Makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So Monday's objection handlers. What about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
So Tuesdays, we have a coaches spotlight. So with there being 240 agents, we have 4 coaches. So 4 of our coaches, it's obvious, it's divided up. So not every agent will get to access a different coach and their perspective. So that's why we created Tuesday's coaches spotlight, because we have a coach coming on. So it winds up being a coach is featured once a month. And they'll say, hey, this is what I'm hearing from my agents, and I wanted to share a workaround for you guys, or I wanted to share a solution for you, or I wanted to share a point of focus or a coaching nugget that I have found helped me in my business. Because our coaches are part-time and they're also licensed agents, active agents, each one of them. And they have all graduated from the program. So they aren't coming in from having to learn about the program. They know the ins and outs of the program and they know the online leads. So they're very well experienced. We also have Evelyn Anders jump in very quickly on Tuesdays as well to let them know, hey, the Zoocasa blog just posted this. Here's what you could say to your database about that. Here's who you could call today and send this out as a follow-up. So it's always a coach's insight and Evelyn Anders highlighting a blog of the day. And by the way, we create a template for them in their follow-up boss. So they could literally be in this session for 15 minutes, getting a coach's highlight, golden nugget, and sending out a template that we've already set up for them in their follow-up boss account.
Okay.
Now, Wednesdays, we flip it onto the agents. And this is usually where you kind of see deer in headlights, because they're like, what do you mean I have to talk in front of 200 other people? But they've warmed up to it quite well. So on Wednesdays, we have agent feature. So that's where you're introducing yourself to the rest of the group. You might be new, you might have been here for over a year, and you're introducing yourself to everyone so that you can start to form friendships and groups and networks and partnerships within the program. Because we have grown so much, it's sometimes difficult to understand where each person is coming from. Even though we have our Slack channels, we have our school, it's yet another way to just kind of be introduced to the group. And I ask them to come prepared to this meeting to share one thing that they have found helps them in their business. So for example, Wendy from Nova Scotia, last week, she said, you know what, I'm just on Etsy. I'm taking some ideas from Etsy. I put it into Canva and I'm sending it out as a gift to my clients that have closed this month. And it can be something as little as open house details that they include that helps them see some sort of success, to sharing a difficult objection that they faced and how they overcame it, or sharing a struggle that they've overcome as well. So that's Wednesdays.
Essentially, they bring some nugget of value in addition to their introduction. Got it. Okay. And then Thursdays, we review tape. That's my favorite day. I love reviewing tape. So that's where I have a running log in the background where I am constantly looking. Shiloh has been extremely helpful with that, where it helps me filter for 5-star calls, let's say. And now Shiloh is very clear up front that, hey, a 3-star call is great. So it's rating the agent's tonality, the way that they phrase questions, the way that they ask for appointments, the way that they mirror and match. It has phenomenal abilities. So I'm able to jump into Shiloh. I filter for 3-star calls and above. And then we're asking for the agent's permission, because we're never going to put someone sort of on the microphone that doesn't feel comfortable. And while I do usually suggest and let them understand that, it's not like you just joined this week and you have no idea what this could possibly be. We give them a few months to build up their confidence, right? Because we know if you're not squirming at the sound of your own voice from your first original calls, you haven't grown, right? So everyone is going to be in that spot where they feel uncomfortable hearing their own voice, and we're our own worst critic. But essentially, I'm asking the agents for permission, or it's coming highlighted from a coach, because our coaches are typically our coaches are very much in tune with how their agents are rating in Shiloh and how many calls they're making throughout the week and through the month. So another way that we track it as well is by finding a deal that's recently closed. Wow, where did that lead originally come from? And what were their original requests? Let's backtrack it all the way to the beginning. And my favorite part about that is challenging myself to find ones that are a year ago. Like, this agent
received this lead 1 year ago. So for all of the agents that think that all these other agents are closing deals and, 1 week getting the lead and getting the deal done, the most consistent agents that are having transactions flow through, that are not sort of that roller coaster agent, but are finding that are consistently building up in terms of transactions, are those that hit the phones consistently every single day. And guess what? This is what their first phone call sounded like when they first received that lead. And again, getting their permission to play it. And then it's a very supportive group. This is the culture that we've built. If you're going to jump in, it's going to be a round of applause and say, thanks for your vulnerability and letting us listen to that call. Because if you're not willing to have your own played, you're not sort of judging someone else that's in the ring, right? So it's very humbling, but it's a great exercise that the agents have given really good feedback on. So Thursdays are probably my favorite day. I like the agent reviewing tape.